Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, to today's Dazzled or Disappointed, this week's Dazzled or Disappointed really. It's going to be on the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette, and it's not to say that there's only a few reviews out there. At this point, there are a ton, but in case you're wanting to know what I thought about it, how I felt about it, I figured I would still do this review for you. I feel like YouTube has become very much in the way of like a race to get videos up, and so just for reference, I can't do that because I feel like I need to really adequately test it and play with it in order to be able to give you good thoughts and good reasonings why I either love something or don't, so that you can make an educated decision as to whether or not it's right for you. So I typically, unless it's like a first impressions or I'm able to get something early, which is rare, I don't get PR, it's just I find it in store or something, then you might see a video a little earlier than most, but typically it's a few days in to the launch that I can get a video up for you, and this is no exception. So I actually have a lot of thoughts for you on this palette. I have a demo as usual. I have swatches. $129 is a lot to plunk down for an eyeshadow palette, and I am certainly aware of that, trust me. So if you're interested in seeing if this palette is really right for you, then just keep on watching. Alright y'all, before I go into it, I would just ask if you don't mind that if you do find this video helpful or just entertaining, that you give it a thumbs up, and I would be more than happy, more than honored to have you as part of this YouTube family. So if you find that this video and channel is right for you, I hope you'll click that subscribe button. I'd love to see you back here. I'd love to have more makeup discussions with you. So let's go into the details of this palette. Alright y'all, so the box comes in her typical simple packaging, but it does match the color of the palette, which is awesome. It has like almost rose gold lettering or kind of copper lettering. It's very, very pretty as usual, very classy. I like when one of her boxes is not the normal white box. So this, for me, I love it. On the back, you do get the diagram of the palette itself, and then of course ingredients, things like that. I will let you know it's made in Italy. It is not tested on animals, so that is amazing. 24-month shelf life, and you do get 28 shadows for a total net weight of 38.45 grams or 1.35 ounces. So that is that. Before I take you into the actual palette, let's go into the Sephora website, give you details there. It is $129, very, very pricey, but again, I will mention Natasha Denona is luxury brand. It is a palette with 28 brand new shades and two new formulas of Natasha Denona's iconic professional quality pressed pigment eyeshadows in a never before seen midi size. So this is the second time we've seen that, because she did that with the Sunrise palette, and so I think a lot of people were super excited about that, and this is taking it even a step further because it's got the 28 shades. So let's see. It is free of parabens. We already mentioned it's cruelty-free. These extraordinarily rich pressed pigment shadows deliver maximum color payoff. I feel like a lot of the trend right now is pressed pigment shadows. They're hydrating and smooth for optimum texture and comfortable all-day wear. So now it's time to go into the palette itself. So it is let me take a step back. During the Sephora event, I randomly was on Instagram one day and she had a live going on, a live video, and so I clicked on it and she was introducing this palette, and it's the first I had heard of it, and I was, oh my gosh, so excited. And so she had described this packaging as the shiny patent material. That's exactly what it is. Couldn't have described it any better. It's obviously got a ton of fingerprints. If that freaks you out, then just know that you'd have to clean it pretty regularly. She has several of her other palettes. Let's see, did I bring any with me over here? I did. Okay, so the patent material is nothing new. Like, this is, I don't know if you'd consider this patent. I guess so. This is more of like a shiny patent. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really up to speed on all the like materials and things like that. But it's very similar to something like this. Even her Star palette, it's not shiny, but it's got that like this kind of material, just like I said, not shiny. This reminds me of a shoe, like a Jessica Simpson pump. Okay, so on the back, same thing as normal. It is just, it's got the sticker on the lower corner, let's see, left-hand corner, but aside from that, it's just plain. I like it like that. It's simple, classic. The inside layout as far as mirror, exactly the same. You've got the mirror right there. You do have the little insert. I know that bugs people because, you know, if you tear it off, then you lose the shade names as far as in the palette. People do like it on here, but that's just not Natasha Denona's MO. She just typically does this. I'm okay with it. I leave it there because then it kind of helps catch the powder from going onto the mirror, even though that still doesn't bug me. But anyways, then you've got the 28 shades in all of their glory. 28 shades that are smaller than the shades in her normal 15 pan palettes. I am 100% okay with that because I will never go through, heck, I'm never going to go through this, but let alone a bigger size like this. I'd rather pay same price and get more shades. So that is that. Let me bring you up close again. Probably not something you have not seen before, but just so that you can see it a little up close and personal in this video. So let's go ahead and go into swatches. I have a demo for you. I've got tons of thoughts. So let's start with the swatches and then we'll go from there. First four, we've got Rust, Troop, Orium, and Shield. Here's this. Now, I do want to say that there are a couple of like olive army green type shades. Those shades are right up my alley because they help my eye color just pop. I have hazel eyes. I have more on the green side. They lean green, so they just bring out the intensity of that green. And so just note there's a little bit of that in here. Here we've got Ripe, Stain, Mace, and Rope. Kind of some odd names there. And some of these, I don't even know what they mean. Here we've got Fuse, Lethal, Penny, and Chrism. Next up, this pop of blue is Aqueous. Oh gosh, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I feel so bad. Queen, Blaze, and Noble. If you know what the shade Aqueous means, will you let me know in the comment section below? I could as easily go to Google, I know, but probably by the time I'm done filming this, I will have forgotten to look it up. Here you've got Imperia, Royal, Crest, and Enigma. This Enigma shade, it looks like a black in the pan. It is a very, very rich blue type of shade. It's like a, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a navy, but a dark teal at the same time. It is so intensely pigmented. It looks matte. It is not. It has a sheen to it. It's very saturated in color, and it's one of those shades that to look at, you'd say this could go south really, really quickly. Here we've got Pure, I don't know how to say that, Azoic. I'm not even going to try, you guys. If you know how to pronounce it, let me know in the comment section below. Then you've got Jubilee right here and Symbol. And for the last four, we have got Rhizome, Claret, Claret? I don't know. Helena, and Antique. Like half of this video is going to be trying to pronounce some of these shade names. Alright, y'all, that was a whole lot of swatches. The back of my hand is like raw from pulling and tugging with wipes and everything. So now it's time for the demo so that you can see what I did today. I did a little bit of gold and green. That's probably what a lot of people are doing. At least that's what I'm seeing on thumbnails when I go into YouTube. For reference, I don't like to watch reviews on products before I put up my review because I don't want to be influenced by anything else. I want you to see what my thoughts and opinions are, and then typically after I post my video or after I film my video and edit it, then I'll go in and see what other people's thoughts are. But in their thumbnails, I'm seeing a whole lot of green looks, so definitely I kept in theme with that. But I love green. Like I said, it really makes my eye color pop. So you're going to see that here now. Hopefully you find it easy to follow if you have this palette. Hopefully, you know, you like the look and you can incorporate your own spin on it. So let's go ahead and get into that segment of this video. Starting off with the shade Chrism, this is going to go in my crease. Using a blending brush, I'm going to distribute this. I do go in a couple of times with this, or I did go in a couple of times, just because I like to build up the opacity. It's a very pigmented matte, but I like it to really show up. Next up, I'm going in with the shade Royal. This is a beautiful shade. It's one of those creamy mattes, and it goes in very pigmented. A little bit goes a very long way, and I had absolutely no trouble blending it in and bringing out the color. Now it's time to go in with the shade Lethal. I love this army green split pea soup type shade. I'm just going in with a little bit of a denser blending brush and just placing this right next to that Royal shade, just because I'm looking for a gradient effect. And then I'm going to go in with the shade Orium. This, when I first got this palette, this is the one that stood out the most to me. Obviously, using my finger, that is my preferred method for using these types of shades. Just goes on quicker, more opaque, and this shade in particular is difficult to use with a brush. I did go in with 2 layers just because I was looking for that extra liquid metal look. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Queen, just with a little small detailer brush so that I can get into my inner corner. And this is just going to brighten it up a little bit, add a little bit more to the look. Next is time for my liner. I'm using the Wink Stamp by Kaja. It's amazing in case you haven't tried it out. All right, next up I'm going to go in with the shade Jubilee and a shader brush. Do you hear the dog? A shader brush that can get into my lower lash line just so that I can distribute that the way I want. And that's the final look, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. All right, y'all, so that was that. Hopefully, again, you enjoyed that, found it easy to follow. Now it's time to go into thoughts. So the packaging, I love this packaging. I like that she's changing it up. I like this packaging, honestly, over this packaging. I don't travel with my Natasha Denona palettes. They are too fragile for that. So if you are new to the brand, don't travel with them. They will sometimes shatter, like the pans of product will break. They're just so soft. And it's a little big, but more for care of your product, don't do it. I prefer these better. Now, I think people who depot and put their pans of product into Z palettes like these better because you've got the little holes on the back to be able to pull those out. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know if there's any way to do that with these, and quite frankly, a few of my pans are loose. Like when I swatch them, they move around a little bit. So I've never been, like, I never want to try to see if they pop out because I have accidentally gouged like eyeshadows in the past by trying that, and I don't depot mine. And so honestly, if you do know that answer, then maybe comment down below for other folks who are interested. But as far as I know, these there's no little hole for you to pop it out like these. So keep that in mind. So first off, I already touched on this, but this has 28 shades as opposed to something like this that has 15 shades. Now, let me take you real quick into the Sunrise palette. This one also had 15, but you notice the pan size are smaller. It's because she did a different price tier, which was amazing. I think this was like 65. And again, I would much rather a smaller pan size and pay less, or even if I pay like the $129, I get more than just getting a bunch of large pans of products. So that was a total win for me, and that was one of the reasons that I knew I wanted to get this palette. I was gonna get more for my dollar than what I have been used to in the past. So upon looking at it, you'd say, okay, like, I don't know if there's really a whole lot new to this. I know they're all new shades. I don't know if there's anything special to it. And truly and honestly, as my voice breaks, I'm sorry. Truly and honestly, I've gone through my palettes And I think you can find a lot of these videos out there, so I'm not going to add to this and make this video super long. These are just a few of the Natasha Denona palettes I own. The rest are in the drawer, like the Tropic palette and a few others, Sunrise palette, and I just didn't feel the need to come in and just show you each and every one. What I did want to tell you is that I think in each one you will find maybe one or two similarities. I didn't really find anything that was exact. When I saw this, like the first thing that came to my mind was the Safari palette because of the like safari slash olive slash army type greens. So when I went into my Safari palette, truly and honestly, there was really nothing that matched the greens that are in this Metropolis palette. So I went one by one and kind of just did a little comparison, just kind of overall. Let me see what I see. Let me play with a couple. I will tell you that this shade right here in the Sunrise palette is similar to the red in Metropolis. It's not exact, but it's similar. And that's really the only, you know, I mean, I think in all of these, if you own some, then you're going to find some, again, similarities. I don't think you're going to find exacts. So like this orange right here, I mean, you're going to find some oranges in her palettes. It's just one of those things where I think she's, how can I put it? Like, she is a very classic makeup artist, so this, even with the blues and stuff, the Tropic palette, that was a little bit more outside of the box for her. This is typically what you're going to see with Natasha Denona. You're going to see variations on certain shades, things like that, but sometimes you'll get a variation that's like, it's just unique, you know what I mean? So truly and honestly, without going through all of these, I find this one to be different enough to warrant picking up from that standpoint. So just know that, again, if you own, real quick, if you own the Star palette, then again, you're going to have some of those standout shades that you would find in the Metropolis, just different variations, different tones. You're going to find those bronze shades. You're going to find that champagne shade. You're going to find the gold shades. And I think the one most people are comparing this to is the gold palette, for good reason, because overall this has a ton of variations of gold shades, which you've got a few of those in the Metropolis palette. They're not the same shades, they're just like spin-offs or variations of it. So yes, definitely some similarities. Again, nothing I found to really be exact. This is one of my favorite palettes of all time, by the way. Okay, so after, now that we've gone through that, let me take you into the mattes. I found the three true mattes in this palette to be this shade right here, this shade right here, and then where is the last one? This shade down here, like to where I don't see any kind of sheen or anything like that. There are some shades, like for example, this green one right here. I mean, how can I put this to you? It's a matte, but it doesn't have the texture of a matte. It almost, to me, can lean a little bit more satin, and I don't think I'm explaining it right. But do you remember her cranberry palette that she released last holiday season? That's one of my favorite palettes ever. I love it. That one has almost like a cream to powder formula, leaning very, very creamy. Like you can go in a little harder in your brush and pick up a good amount of product. Well, a lot of these mattes have that same formula in them, which didn't she just reformulate her cranberry palette and come out with like the matte version of those cream to powder formulas? I think she did, correct me if I'm wrong, but anyways, she reverted back to the cream to powder formula, which I am very glad she did because I actually love that formula. The shade that you saw me put in the outer corner of my eye, this deep green shade right here, it can look very intimidating, and it's cream to powder formula. I went in with a blending brush. I didn't go in with a packing brush. I went in with a blending brush, which typically can pick up a little less like it's not going to disperse as much, in my opinion. When you go in with a flat shader brush, you're like really concentrating that pigment or that eyeshadow. So you saw how easily and opaque that went on, even with a blending brush. And I have found that to be consistent with all of those types of shades in this palette, but that just happens to be a very rich color. I will tell you that these two shades right here, like the dark ones that look like black shades, neither one of them are black. They're very like opaque, deep teal blue shades, and I find them to be similar enough to where I guess I'm a little confused why she included both of them in this palette. I don't know. Anyways, would have been nice to have a little bit, you know, one extra different one instead of two very similar ones, but that was that. I did find, I will tell you, this shade right here, which is to me one of the most sparkly looking shades in the pan. It's a very thin consistency, so you saw me go in a couple of times in the demo to layer it on my eye to bring out the opacity, to bring out the sparkle factor. So it's a little bit of a thinner formula, and I'm not sure why. I don't know. But what's weird is that's the shade that stood out the most to me. When I opened it, I was like, that's the shade I want to go in with first. So when I started playing with it a few days ago, I was like, this is kind of weird how this goes on a little bit thinner and feels thinner than the rest of these standout shades in the palette. So that's that. There's nothing wrong with it. Just know that it is thinner and you have to layer a little bit more. The other standout shades, intensely opaque, metallic, very, very stand out. Looks like liquid metal on the eye. I will tell you, it's harder to go in with a brush with these, at least it is for me, because I end up having to layer 3 or 4 times. That is why with this palette and with a whole lot of others that you've seen me do reviews and demos on, I like to go in with my finger. I get more product like applied quicker, and I don't use as much product, you know, from the pan, which is kind of nice as well. So this is no exception. I find my finger to apply best. A lot of y'all prefer not to use your finger. You can certainly go in with a brush. That same shade I just told you about does not work well with a brush at all. The others, I mean, you can make it work just fine. It's just that using a finger is quicker, easier, builds up better, all of the above. But that shade right there, to me, I have used it wet. I have used it dry. Just neither one really likes to work. And then when I go in my finger, I can tell that it builds up quicker, even though it's still that thinner, it still takes a little time with my finger. So that is that. This particular palette is on par with all of her others as far as quality goes, as far as opacity goes. I think at this point in time you need to determine whether you have enough in your collection that's like this. I mean, at the end of the day, truly and honestly, you guys, there is so much, the industry is so oversaturated that you likely have dupes and dupes and dupes of stuff at this point, you know? I mean, that's the thing about there being so much and releasing so much. I'm gonna do a dedicated video on that, but like there's just a lot, and you kind of have to get to the realization, come to a point where you're like, okay, do I really even need this at this point? It's not even about collecting anymore. It's like, you know, do I need more of the same? I feel, like I said, that there is enough in here. Like it's enough of a variation from her other palettes. I feel like there's some like stuff that I haven't seen before from her. I love this green shade that you saw me put on my lower lash line. It's so beautiful. Like, I feel like there's enough in here to really warrant me wanting to collect this. The packaging's beautiful. I love that there's 28 shades. There is enough in here for you to vary it up. This is perfect for fall. There's enough in here to warrant so many different looks, truly, and because a lot of these do give you that metal, liquid metal type of look, it just really is perfect for fall and into the holidays, because those parties, you're gonna want that makeup that really stands out. So all in all, I'm dazzled by this palette. Literally from the moment I used it to this point, I have loved it every single time. It performs the way I expect Natasha Denona palettes or eyeshadows to perform. I love the variety. I love the smaller pan size. I love that because of the smaller pan size, she didn't chintz out on quality. These are just beautiful. You have to ask yourself if you like her cream to powder formula. If you've tried the cranberry palette and you hated it because of that, then this is just not going to be for you, because it's got a lot of that. But all in all, as a consumer, I'm really happy. I am in a point where I'm just like, it's just oversaturated. There's too much. I have become insanely more selective, truly. Like I'm surprising myself at this point with how selective I'm becoming with what I buy. And this was one of those where I'm just very happy that I picked it up. Yes, $129 is a very hefty price tag. However, I think this is a better bang for your buck than the 15 pan shadows. So dazzled by this. I love it. It is limited edition. So if you are... if you're debating, I don't know how long it's going to stay in stock. Sometimes things say limited edition and they last forever and a day. So truly and honestly, I don't know. This is being marketed as holiday 2019, so I don't know. I really thought sure that we would see another palette from her as we go into holiday season, but now I'm not so certain. I don't know. If you know something I don't, let me know in the comment section below. But I do love this. This really was worth every penny for me. And I'm glad that I picked it up. Enough of a variety from my other Natasha Denona palettes. It's a great one-stop shop with the number of shades. I think I can get enough out of this, like different looks and different, you know, smoky and a little bit lighter and party and daytime from this palette to make it insanely worthwhile. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. Again, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up or subscribe if you did find it any of those things. Before I let you go, I want to give you a quick verse of the day. If you don't want to listen, you're more than welcome to click off right here and now. I completely understand. But in a time right now when you see a lot of devastation, I mean, my heart has been very, very sad about just everything that's happening or that has happened in the Bahamas. What those people are having to go through, and it just really, really breaks my heart. So I just want to tell you, give you a verse from Proverbs 14:21. It says, "Blessed is he who is kind to the needy." And I just want to encourage you that if you are in a place where you can help the needy, whether it be a meal or whether it be $5, whatever the case, it's easy to get caught up in all the makeup and all the material stuff without even remembering there are other people out there who can't even buy their next meal. So just encouragement to be kind to others and to those who really need it. Alright guys, thank you again for watching. I hope to see you again very, very soon. Take care. Bye.